Atlas Obscura, Explorer's Guide to Inventing the World, a First Chapter Friday read aloud video and author interview with Amanda Zieba the Word Nerd, Dylan Thuras, and Jennifer Swanson. Before we get started today, I want to give a shout out to Mrs. Iserhold's students in Jefferson City, Missouri. So glad you guys are here and excited for you to listen in today. Hey everybody, my name is Amanda Zieba. Welcome to my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd, in another First Chapter Friday video. Today we are going to read a nonfiction book. It's a big book. It's a beautiful book. It is called The Atlas Obscura Explorer's Guide to Inventing the World. And the subtitle is going to give us a few more hints. It says 50 inventions and discoveries, 94 locations, a globe-spanning adventure. Now, you guys know that I love a fiction book, a good story, as much as the next girl. But lately, I've really been leaning into nonfiction and loving all the things that I can learn, all the background knowledge that I can build. And just there's so many interesting things in this world. And I'm like, yeah, I want to know more about that. And the amazing thing about this book is it's called micro nonfiction. And that means that we get little bits and pieces of all sorts of different things within one book, right? Like just a little bit enough to know to make you dangerous at Jeopardy, which, side note, I heard that one guy who won Jeopardy, in order to study for it, he read lots of nonfiction children's picture books because he could get information very quickly. So, cool thing. I'm going to read you the back of the book. Then I'm going to jump into the story off the screen and into the story and show you up close what a few of the entries and inventions are. And then make sure you stick around till the end because we're going to have a chance to interview the author. So here's a little bit more about this nonfiction book. A STEM-powered journey across the globe. Following up on New York Times bestselling Atlas Obscura's Explorer's Guide for the World's Most Adventurous Kid, here is a globe-spanning history of invention like no other. Explore the world's 50 most interesting inventions and scientific discoveries in this fully illustrated and unforgettable trip to 94 locations around the planet and across time. As you gaze at comets through telescopes, create unbreakable codes, zap space garbage with lasers, and set supersonic records in the world's fastest car, you'll be transported across continents and centuries into a world of wonder and discovery. It's an illustrated atlas, a technological guide, and a cabinet of curiosities all in one. Now let's start inventing. Can't wait to show you what's in this book, so I'm going to jump off screen, and we'll do that now. First up, the invention of glass. An ancient Roman story goes like this. Thousands of years ago, a group of sailors were shipping a mineral called natron. They made a campfire on the beach and propped up their fiery cauldron with natron chunks. As the natron and beach sand heated up together, the sailors beheld transparent streams of flowing forth. This, said the story, was the origin of glass. Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge. Don't look down. Step out on the Zhangjiajie Glass Bridge and try not to panic. Sure, you're standing on a sheet of glass. Sure, you can watch birds flying beneath your feet in the 984-foot deep chasm below. Don't worry. Just because it's made of glass doesn't mean it's not strong. Spanning more than 1,400 feet across the Zhangjiajie Grand Canyon, this see-through bridge provides a literal bird's-eye view of the valley's gorgeous forests, waterfalls, and streams. 4 steel pillars support a horizontal steel frame that holds 120 panels of 2-inch thick, triple-layered glass. Having been heated to a temperature of 1,292 degrees Fahrenheit, then cooled quickly, the glass has become tempered, which increases its strength. Tempered glass is 4 times harder to break than regular glass, which is a very good thing to keep in mind as you walk or crawl across the bridge. Know before you go. To visit the bridge, you must take a cable car to the top. We recommend against crossing if you are afraid of heights. At least, that seems like wise advice. Beni Salama, a transparently amazing early Roman glass-making factory. As the wind blows across a hot desert, a man in a simple tunic stands beside a massive furnace full of hot, bright orange liquid. He is busy creating one of the most exciting materials in the ancient world. Glass. This desert in Wadi el Natron, Egypt, is filled with a special salt called natron. The ancient Egyptians used it to dry mummies, make soap, and treat wounds. But natron had another amazing use: making glass. Mix sand and natron salt and then heat it all to 2012 degrees Fahrenheit, and voila, you have molten glass. The ready supply of natron led the Romans to build large glass factories here 2,000 years ago. Using a blowpipe, glass blowers could blow the molten glass into useful shapes. Then, glass was an expensive material and used in things like jewelry. But Roman factories like Beni Salama transformed it into something everyday people could afford. Today, glass is everywhere, on our buildings and our screens, and even under our feet. Know before you go. Beni Salama dates back much farther than the Romans, to 4800 BCE, and is the earliest North African archaeological site showing plant and animal domestication. It also includes a staircase of hippopotamus bones. Astronomy. The printing press sparked revolutions in both religion and science. Ancient texts, once locked away in distant libraries, could now be reprinted and shared. This included books with mathematical data about the cosmos. 18 years after Gutenberg printed the Bible, the first astronomy book was printed. The printing press thus helped create a renaissance or rebirth of astronomical discovery. Sternborg, the island observatory where a metal-nosed man mapped the stars. Look up into the night sky. Could you imagine a map of all those stars? It would take a really long time. Just ask Tycho Brahe, a Danish astronomer who spent more than 20 years in his castle observatory recording 1,000 stars. He used astronomical instruments, a giant wooden sphere, to record the stars' locations. Telescopes hadn't been invented yet. Tycho was a tough customer. His nose was cut off in a sword fight with his cousin over who was better at mathematics. He wore a nose made of metal the rest of his life. Later in 1577, Tycho noticed a light streaking across the evening sky. It was a comet. When he was returning from a day of fishing. He would theorize correctly that this comet moved in a giant loop around the sun, something that even Galileo hadn't even thought of yet. At the Sternenborg Castle, you can explore part of the original observatory where Tycho made his revolutionary findings that inspired famous astronomers such as Johannes Kepler and Sir Isaac Newton. Know before you go. Then, the island where the observatory can be found is a short boat ride from Copenhagen, and you can explore the whole island by bike. Be sure to play games in the castle gardens and visit the ruined paper mill where Tycho made his own books. Daniel K. Inouye's Solar Telescope. Watch the sun explode from the top of the largest dormant volcano in the world. In Haleakala, Maui, Hawaii. Sitting atop a massive 10,062-foot tall volcano on the island of Maui is what looks like a giant white ice cream cone. Of course, this is no dessert. Instead, it's the largest solar telescope in the world. Just like how Tycho Brahe mapped the stars, the Daniel K. Inouye Solar Telescope maps the sun. Inside the DKIST's dome top is a 13-foot-long primary mirror that peers into the sun's depths. It captures images of enormous solar explosions known as coronal mass ejections that shoot out clouds of hot plasma, energized gas, and bits of magnetic fields into the space. Just one such explosion has a power of 1 billion atomic bombs. When these solar ejections reach Earth, they sometimes create radio, magnetic, and thermal disruptions that can destroy satellites and power grids, effectively turning off our lights. Astronomers hope to use the DKIST to understand how and why these eruptions happen. But learning the secrets of the sun may do more than just protect us from solar explosions. One day, it might help us power the planet. Know before you go. While you can't tour the telescope itself yet, you can drive up a steep and winding road to the top of the Haleakala volcano and enjoy beautiful views of both the telescope and the island. Ancient renewables. Though the ancestral Puebloans made good use of solar power at Mesa Verde, ancient civilizations didn't get power from the sun alone. Long before the first industrial revolution, almost all power came from renewables, power sources that are replenished over time. Wind, water, and animals were a few of the ways the ancient world made things move. Nashtafan windmills, vertical windmills that still work 1,000 years later. Nashtafan, Iran. Soaring 65 feet above the desert, 24 mud-covered adobe walls don't just protect the people of Nashtafan from the gale-force winds during monsoon season. They also funnel the winds to generate energy. In this small village in northeastern Iran, renewable energy has been in use for 10 centuries. These windmills, some of the first ones ever built, are unique in their construction. Unlike the iconic four-blade towers you might find in the Netherlands or on mini golf courses, the ancient Nashtafan windmills are vertical with long wooden slats that catch the wind. Here's how they work. The wind flows into the large clay structure and moves the vertical wooden vanes. This rotates a grindstone at the bottom, crushing wheat into flour used to make bread. A full day of wind can produce 165 pounds of flour. We can certainly toast to that. Know before you go. Ask if Mohammed Etabari is around. He's the caretaker. Try to go on a windy day so you can see the windmills in action. Nereus of Hama. Enormous water wheels of great power. Hama, Syria. Standing next to the massive Nereus, or water wheels, of Hama, you might feel a bit small. Some of these gigantic structures are 69 feet, as big as a brontosaurus is long. Today, when you need water, you turn on the faucet. But many centuries ago, people didn't have that luxury. They had to get their water by pulling it directly out of a river or other freshwater source. Think about how many buckets it would take to fill up a bathtub. Nereus were invented around the 5th century CE to solve this problem. The Nereus here in the Orontes River in Syria could raise 660 gallons, or 16 bathtubs full, in just 1 minute. As the force of the river's current turned the wheel, its box-like compartments filled up with water and poured it into a nearby aqueduct, or channel for water. From there, the water flowed to the village or out to the fields to irrigate crops. The water wheels still turn today and make enormous groaning noises. Not only are they as big as a dinosaur, but they sound like one too. Know before you go. Due to war in Syria, the water wheels have been under threat. But as of 2020, there has been a concerted effort by the locals to preserve and protect them. And the last wonder we're going to explore today before we talk to the authors is video games. Video games began as an experiment on early supercomputers. In 1958, a physicist created the first video game for fun called Tennis for Two, featuring a two-dimensional ball bouncing between flat paddles. This type of programming or software is now used in everything from calculating weather to jumping around in Fortnite. Space War, a life-or-death battle made of little white lines. Computer History Museum in Mountain View, California. 5 friends sit with hands on their spaceship controls, ready to fight to the death. The 5 spaceships circle each other, looking for an opening. There can only be one winner. As the ships maneuver around, avoiding a killer star's gravitational pull, they fire off their torpedoes. Boom! Ships explode and the game starts again. This is Space War, one of the earliest video games and the first you could play with multiple friends over a network. To play an early version of the game, you had to load a computer program, a long roll of paper punched with holes, into a humming and clacking computer the size of a refrigerator. A group of young hackers at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, created the game in 1962. Its simple graphics of spaceships, a star, and torpedoes became so popular among college kids, scientists, and technicians that Space War inspired the first arcade games and almost single-handedly kick-started the video game industry. Know before you go. You can still play Space War on that giant clacking computer. The Computer History Museum is full of fascinating exhibits and artifacts, including an unusual half-bicycle, half-computer system called Behemoth. Vertical Motion Simulator, a moon flight simulator complete with motion sickness, at the Ames Research Center, also in Mountain View, California. Climb aboard the large white cube-shaped object attached to the giant movable platform. Find your cushioned seat and strap in. The 2 huge video screens in front of you are about to come to life, so grab that joystick, put on your headphones, and get ready for an out-of-this-world piloting experience. NASA's Vertical Moon Simulator is the most realistic space game ever created. That's because astronaut pilots use it to practice flying and maneuvering in space. Located in a 10 stories tall building at NASA's Ames Research Center, each of the 5 customizable VMS machines is connected to rails. These allow the simulator to move up to 60 feet vertically and 40 feet horizontally to mimic full motion. Hold on tight because the cabs pitch and roll, move backward, and swing from side to side, too. From flying helicopters to operating a lunar lander, yes, for landing on the moon, the VMS is as real as simulation gets. Try not to get sick. Know before you go. The research center is closed to visitors, but check out the visitor center nearby in Mountain View to see some spacesuits, spacecraft, and more. For a kid-friendly flight simulator, try the National Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. To continue reading this book, pick up a copy of Atlas Obscura's Explorer's Guide to Inventing the World, either from your school library, favorite indie bookstore, or the link in the video description box. But for now, let's get to our author interview with Dylan Thuras and Jennifer Swanson. All right, readers, we are here for a double treat today because we have not one, but 2 authors here to talk with us about Atlas Obscura's Explorer's Guide to Inventing the World. It is the newest Atlas Obscura book. It is gorgeous. I have loved every page of it. And I'm really excited that we're going to get a chance to talk with the authors today. So Jennifer Swanson and Dylan Thuras, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Amanda.
All right, 5 questions. First one is,
let's go.
What was the most interesting invention for you to research within the book? I know there's 50 and it might be hard to pick, but was there one where you're like, oh yeah, I nerded out about this a whole lot?
Okay, you go, Dylan, because you seem like you have one in your head.
I'm going to cheat here. I have 2 answers. I have an invention here that's like my favorite invention, just full stop, which is basically the discovery and application of electricity. I still it's in a different class on its own because it's basically like harnessing a secret power of the universe and then using it to our own ends to power all kinds of stuff. So I'm fascinated with that history. But I actually think that the most interesting, surprising connection I found in the book is one that Jen put me onto. I had built most of the structure because all of the inventions connect together. So it kind of, okay, what comes. And I got to particle accelerators and I was a little bit stymied and I was like, I'm not sure, I'm almost at the end of the book, kind of trying to figure out, okay, where do we go from particle accelerators? And Jen said, there's a huge connection between particle accelerators and particle physics and neuroscience, which I had not realized. But the PET scan, the CAT scan, the MRI, high physics labs, like the MRI started as a way to understand the spin of atoms. And it was only later that someone was like, wait a second, we can use this to actually look at our bodies. And so there's all kinds of other connections. We don't get into all of them in the book between particle accelerators and neuroscience. But that one was a very interesting to learn about. So Jen, yeah, your turn.
Yeah, it was great. Again, I'm with you. There's so many things that I kind of researched this and was like, wow, I had no idea. So I kind of have to, because I love the fusion reactor. I mean, this is where we're going. And so I am so excited about forward-thinking tech and introducing that to kids so they could be maybe the engineers or scientists that help figure all this out, right? This is amazing. But the other one that I love was the packet van. And I've talked about this before, and Dylan's going to be like, so when they were trying to figure out how wireless internet would work and how they could create a network, they literally put all their computer stuff into a van and drove it around different places in California, like parks or like McDonald's parking lots or whatever, and kind of turned it on to see if they could talk to each other. And to me, the kind of juxtaposition of being in a little van with some of the most amazingly technologically forward computers is just so cool. And that's, sort of how they created networks. They worked on it like that. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah. I love the line in the fusion one. I think we describe a fusion reactor as a giant magnetic donut containing plasma jelly, and it's that's basically it. That really is. It's called the donut. That is right. Well, it's a fun way to introduce that concept to
And the
kids.
crazy thing is I have interviewed like for some of this for research, we would interview some of the scientists or the engineers, and that's how the engineer does like describes it.
Yeah,
It's like a donut. And you're just like instantly you can understand what that looks like, right? That's
yeah.
why it's so cool.
Yes, and I loved like the history piece of it and the explanation piece of it because if you have this background and understanding where it came from, it's much easier to understand what that thing actually
Right.
is. Plus, it's just interesting to me to hear those behind the scenes stories.
Yeah.
I know that the middle schoolers who are watching, typically in second quarter-ish, they're asked to do a research project, and they have to study something
Okay.
in depth and then write something about it. And so I'm wondering if you could each give us a quick nonfiction writing tip, something that helped you either like with this book or like when you were a beginning writer, like this is the foundation, like this is where you got to start.
So what I do for this, because I this is like I don't know my 50th book or something. So what I like to do when I talk to young writers is find something that A, you're passionate about, and B, if it's going to be nonfiction and it's going to be about science, make sure it's understandable. Like, and you know, you can explain it to the level that it needs to be explained. Like, use analogies. Like, it's as big as a baseball or a soccer ball or it's as long as a football field. You know, something like that you can immediately put a picture into people's heads if you're explaining something in your research paper. And if they read it, then they will, you know, they will understand it a whole lot better if you can understand the explanations.
Yeah, that makes so much
Yeah.
sense. Even like when you were just talking about the plasma donut, right? Like,
Right,
okay,
exactly.
now I can envision in my head
Yep.
what this is like. So that's such a great tip. Thank you.
I think another tip that sometimes can be a nice way to frame your subject is to ask a question, like to sort of
Yep.
open with a, what do you
Mm.
do if you need to make a tiny sun right here on Earth?
Yes.
Well, so sort of using prompting questions to yourself or to your audience can be a really nice way to sort of set up the stakes, the structure, and then answer your own question. And that can be a
Hmm.
really, you can kind of sort of, it can make it easier to sort of, here's what we're trying to find out. Okay, question answered or asked. Now we can answer it. So that's a
Yeah.
useful tool.
Yep.
So, another great tip. Thank you. My next question, and hopefully I don't start any fights here, is that this is a co-written project in which you work together. And so part A of the question is, how is working with another writer on a project make the process easier? And part B is, how does working with another writer on a project make it harder?
All right.
Well,
Go ahead.
I mean, I'll just start by saying
Yeah.
like this book would not exist or would be probably incomprehensible without Jen's help. Like I
Aw.
think Jen has such a great, so much great experience, and then such a great tone with the kind of middle grade um, writing process, which like it's my second kids book, but I'm much less experienced than Jen is.
Yeah.
And so, this is a pretty ambitious project. I was like, I love the history of science. And I was like, okay, I want to do this crazy connection through technologies, and I want to talk about things that normally aren't in a kid's book. I want to talk about binary numbers. I want to talk about
Hmm.
code breaking. I want to talk about quantum compute, whatever. And it was so wonderful to have a partner that I could sort of
Yes.
say, okay, this is my best. Okay, I've worked on this. I sort of try to squish it all in, but it's still it needs to be. I need help kind of getting it to the right level, or we need to kind of do cuts. Jen and I were constantly
Oh
passing
yeah.
material back and forth, and it was getting bigger and then cut down and getting bigger because you're trying to convey a lot in a
Yeah.
simple way in a few words. And
Yeah.
it's a fascinating process of sort of reduction and distillation where literally every word matters. Like in these
Oh yeah.
write-ups, I think every single word there has been painstakingly chosen
Yeah.
to hit word length, to make it clear, to sort of anyway. Yeah. So it was a joy. For me, it was
Yeah.
basically only good stuff.
It was I wholeheartedly agree, and I know we sound like yay, but seriously, this was so great, and what you're looking at in this book is mostly the brilliant mind of Dylan Thuras. Like he made all of these connections, and I would occasionally be like, I don't know about this one, maybe we move it here, or I was like, this one may not be as strong enough. but most of these came from him. And then I just did the deeper dives. I kind of polished it up a little bit. We would go back and forth with the editor, and because he was like, "Well, we need to take this sentence out." We're like, "No, we have to say that." And he's like, "Okay, but you can only have 3 words to say that,
Well,
right?" So we would
and Jen
go.
and I are so deep and such nerds that the editor might come back with one word change, and it went from I don't know, from mass to weight, and we're just like, oh, you can't
No,
do that.
no, that
That's
is the
missing
wrong
an
thing.
entire meaning. Like we really have to say it like this, or it's not correct. And no doubt, I'm sure we'll get notes about various things back and forth because it's hard. It's hard to
It
distill some of
is.
this kind of science in this way, but like I think we've done a. I think the
Yeah.
two of us together
Yeah, we
formed a
did
kind of
it, and it was
yeah
fabulous. I mean, I've written a lot of books by myself, but this was honestly easier in a lot of ways because the work was split.
split.
And
Yeah.
Yeah,
and also you just send it off, and then Dylan does his piece and then sends it back to me, and and it kind of worked a lot better.
yeah,
But we did tell you this before. The crazy thing is we've never met in person yet. We've been working on this book for what, 2 years?
yeah,
I don't know, something like that. So that
yeah,
makes it even better because we did all this over Zoom,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
which was
wild. And
amazing.
and I should mention that a third collaborator, though obviously that relationship is
Oh,
more
yes.
distant in the kids, but which is Ruby Fresson,
Oh my
who
gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
mostly we were just giving notes and those were passed through the publisher and then we would get drafts back and so it was we don't know
Yeah,
Ruby
look
very
at
well, but
no.
her work is just, it brings this book
Yeah.
alive in a way that
Yeah.
is
There's a whole
incredible.
nother level.
she
Like she brings a whole nother level to it. It's
she is so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Is
incredible.
she the same illustrator who did the other Atlas Obscura kids book?
No, that was Joy Ang, who's also amazing, but I wanted to have a slightly different style for this book. The
Yeah.
subject matter
Mhm.
was different, and I loved Ruby's kind of vintage
Yeah.
style. I love her use of color, and I just thought, ooh, this
And
is gonna
it
really fit. And I think
And
it I
it
think it does.
did.
Yeah,
It did. And so I challenge, if you kids are going to look at this, like look very closely because she has things
all
in the
kinds of
spreads
details.
where the people like interact with each other or kind of notice they're there. It is hilarious.
And I
She
think
does,
I think too, like kids are so visual these days and
yes.
Yeah,
loving graphic novels, and like this is such a great combination of written content and illustrated content that just levels together, it just levels
Yeah.
up the whole thing. So
Oh,
um
absolutely.
thanks,
I
Amanda.
love I love that you love working as a team. And plus,
Yeah.
it's somebody else who's like in it up to their elbows the same way you are, and they get it. Like I could tell my husband or my
Yes.
sister or my mom something that I'm working on and they're like, "Oh, that's nice." But like when you go to a
I've gotten
person
that
who like
a lot.
gets it, it's just different. And so when you co-write, you have that person
Well,
built in for
Yeah.
and
you.
I think most of our, because we've had other interviewers say, "Did you guys, fight over what went in there?" I was like, "No, I think we were most like, I found the coolest fact," and he's
Yeah.
like, "I found this fact." And we're like, "Okay, we have to put the facts in here." I mean,
Mostly what we had to do was like hold each other's hands as we were forced to cut out stuff that we loved but we knew couldn't
yes,
fit. You're like,
I
well, there's this
know.
whole side story about where hand washing came from. There's like a doctor who tried to do it but then no one was interested,
The
and we just had to
editor's
be like,
like, "No,
we can't, that's not going to go in. Like we have 150 words per
Yeah.
entry, so it's like, but
and
we were
he
it was
was like, "It will be 100." It was, yeah. The editor was like,
Do you have
"That's
a
it."
which
website? Maybe you guys could have like an outtake section on a
yeah.
website where you
Well,
It would
post
be
all
like
the
pages
those
and
stories.
pages.
one of the interesting things about this book too is because it has this threaded connection where everything connects to the next thing to the next thing. You could make this book again and you could
Yeah.
start from the same place and you could
Yep.
take an
Yep.
entirely
A different.
different
Hmm.
path with basically almost all different technologies. Like I imagine you could really do this book
Yeah.
multiple ways,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it
Absolutely.
was yeah,
Read it again and again.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
All right, next question. So it's 50 inventions, but
Hmm.
94 locations. So,
Oh.
travel question for you coming up is, what's one place that you visit that you have loved, and one place that you want to visit that's still on your wish list?
Jen, you want to go first?
Okay.
I
Oh, it's really hard to pick one place that I loved. Now, does it have to match a
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in the book. If it is,
Okay.
fine. But it just.
I'm okay, so I know somewhere in there we visit Edinburgh, Scotland, right? I don't remember which one it is. That
The surgical tool.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's the
yeah.
Da
The Da
Vinci. It's the
Vinci.
Da
Okay, I was
Vinci.
just
Yeah.
looking at yeah, it's the Vinci tool. Okay. So I would love to play with the Da Vinci surgical tool because you can do that at this museum. But I love Edinburgh, Scotland. It is one of my favorite places on the planet, and I would like move there if I could. Um, and one place I want to visit, which I'm not sure we have in here, is Australia. I don't think, do we have something from Australia?
We do, of
We
course,
do? Okay.
in seafaring.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's an archaeological site in seafaring
Okay.
that's in Australia.
Well,
But I've also never been to Australia.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I would like to go. And while Dylan's still looking, I'll say this. You could totally, if you know, like had unlimited time and unlimited money, use this as a travel guide, right? Like
Yeah.
visit
Yeah.
all of these places. That should be an Atlas Obscura trip, Dylan. There you go.
Yeah, you'd have to sign up for like 2 years and some sizable amount of money.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll go
there's
buy
so
my
many
lottery
places.
ticket now.
Yeah,
Excellent.
exactly.
Good. Yeah, so one place that's in the book that I've been to that I love, it's in the neuroscience section. It's the Cushing Brain Center.
You've been
And
there? I haven't been there
yeah,
yet.
multiple
Oh my
times, multiple times.
gosh.
It's actually not that far from where I live. It's on the Yale campus basically,
Yep.
and they've got this library, and then you can go to the basement of the library. Sometimes you may have to go to the front desk and basically say like, "Hey, I want to go check it out." But you go and you check out this collection that's actually been at Yale for a very long time of brains. It's a neuroscientist collection
I gotta go
of
see this place.
specimens.
Wow.
And Dr. Cushing was very early to trying to understand, okay, there is sort of localization in the brain. The
Yep.
brain actually does different things, different parts of it. And he was trying to understand this, trying to understand diseases of the brain. And so this collection for a long time, like sat in a like hidden dusty room connected through the like basement tunnels of Yale. It was like a hazing ritual where like medical students would go down and like go into the brain room. But eventually they realized that this collection was very important, very valuable, played an
Yeah.
important role in scientific history. So now it's in a lovely kind of curated museum space.
Oh my gosh,
And
I
you
have to
can,
go visit that.
yeah. So that's one I've been that I would love to go. Honestly, every single other place in here is
Right?
like, I mean, there's a few others that I've been to. I've been to the Hellbrunn Mechanical Theater in Austria. That's really cool.
Wow.
I've been to a number of them, but there's so many that I have not been to that I would like. So Jen, you've been to CERN. You've been to the
Yes.
Large Hadron Collider.
Yep, I have. It is amazing. Yeah.
You lucky duck.
I got
Like,
I got a private tour of the Alice detector, which was really
oh
amazing.
God. So
Yeah. Next time
I
I
would
go,
love.
I'll call you. You can
Okay.
come.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna break the rules. I'm gonna share my answer. I don't usually answer my own
No,
questions,
go
but
ahead.
Please. Yeah. Go for it.
one of my favorite places, we were talking about how Midwest is best, like before we joined this call. And so I think that one of the coolest, prettiest places I've visited is Custer State Park in South Dakota, where it's
Oh,
got like the
wow.
lake and then these gorgeous rock formations and then the foresty trees and the blue sky and like
Ooh.
I feel like you get it all in one. So I would say Custer State Park. And then I really want to go to Iceland. I think that it has so many cool landscapes and just like
Volcanoes right now.
yeah, and glaciers and black sand beaches and all the things. So
I was there with my kids 1 month ago.
Uh-huh.
We were in Iceland for a week. We were there actually when that volcano went off, but we missed the timing slightly, so we weren't really able to see it. We were very close to it because it was right by the airport. But it was too bad because it was like, oh man, it's really happening. But Iceland is what a place. Holy moly.
yeah. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. We missed the volcano on vacation.
Yeah.
All right, my last question for you guys is, could you please tell us a little bit about your YouTube channels? This, YouTube channel, students watch, every week for First Chapter Fridays. And so I know teachers and kids are always looking for other great educational things to watch. So I would love to hear about each of your YouTube channels that you have.
I'll go first because mine's really short. So mine is, I'm still working on mine in the mix amongst writing books and doing other things. But so I think it's Jennifer's or Science Rocks with Jennifer Swanson, and I have some videos. I because like where I visit like aquariums, so I do lots of little shorts about that. But I also have a podcast called Solve It for Kids, which is um like 240 some episodes. We have interviewed experts and scientists from all over the place, from the guy who creates the images of the James Webb Space Telescope. We had him on 2 weeks before the photo was released. We've talked to black hole scientists. We've talked to astronauts. We've talked to a young chemical engineer whose job is to make toilet paper. And she thinks it's the coolest job in the world. And I was like, keep doing that, right? So you can check all those out on my YouTube. And then hopefully it'll continue to grow as I find time to work on it.
Absolutely. I'll make sure to put the link for it in this video description
Thank
box
you.
if people want to check it out. And Dylan's too. Dylan, tell us about yours.
Go to Atlas Obscura. The Atlas
Mhm.
Obscura is our
Mhm.
YouTube channel. And there are some great videos. There are older videos that I made, but I did a series called 100 Wonders. And each
Ooh.
episode is really short. It's like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. And each one is about an amazing place in the world. Just like the most
Wow.
surprising, interesting, Skeleton Lake in the Himalayas, where this hiker in the 40s came along and found this frozen lake with hundreds of skeletons in it. And it turns out that they were from, this wasn't solved till much later, but they're actually from long time ago, 800, 1,000 years ago, maybe older. And this is
Wow.
actually an ongoing scientific mystery of when did these people die? What killed them? One of the great hypotheses, by the way, at least one wave of them killed in a hailstorm, killed by
No
incredible
way.
hail, and then their bones basically washed into this lake, or their bodies, and 1,000 years later,
Oh my
just
gosh.
but there's actually still a ton of research. There's all this genealogical research. They're doing ancient DNA testing on them because it turns out to be quite an interesting blend of bodies not from the area, some kind of pilgrims traveling through. So this is, we have that episode. We have a podcast. I also have a podcast called the Atlas
Yeah.
Obscura Podcast. We have a great podcast episode about
Mm-hmm.
this, as well as the YouTube video. So YouTube, Atlas Obscura, 100 Wonders. These are really perfect videos for kids in a classroom.
Oh, now I'm gonna have to watch them. My
It's so funny
gosh.
that out of all the 100 Wonders you picked, you told that story. I don't know if you know Douglas Preston. He writes nonfiction.
He was our interview for the podcast. That's who we interviewed about that for
Oh
the
my
podcast.
gosh.
Yeah. So we talked to Doug.
A fiction book about it. Crazy. Okay, I am definitely checking out 100 Wonders. And Science Rocks with Jen Swanson. Always wanting to learn all the things. So thank you both for your time and for this amazing book. It is such a treat. Teachers, you need to have this in your classroom. So go out and get it. And thank you all for joining us for another First Chapter Friday video. We will see you again next week. And Jennifer and Dylan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
If you want even more First Chapter Friday goodness, head over to my channel where I have more than 200 First Chapter Friday videos ready and waiting for you. Thanks so much for visiting my channel, Learning with the Word Nerd. I hope you come back again for more First Chapter Fridays, brain breaks, direct instruction videos, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you again next time. Happy reading!